Hello and welcome to this edition of Crossover. I'm Sajid with Remit.
Hello.
And Sajid.
Hi.
Good to see you again.
Thank you.
Been a while since last time we had a discussion about a different topic.
Pleased to be here. Thank you so much.
Good to see you, and
So
you're still
nice.
with the international school.
Yeah, I'm still working with another international school in Beijing.
Well, talking about education, especially juvenile education, that's a key issue. And we have some latest development concerning one case involving the child of a famous singer. That was a picture taken a few years back when, well, he was younger. And
Teenagers, right?
yeah, he was involved in two scandals. And first he was involved in a car accident.
Oh my God.
He violated the traffic rule and then he beat up the victim.
Exactly, and he was taken into custody for that 1 year, and he came out, and then he was involved not long ago this year in a gang rape scandal. He was sentenced 10 years in prison.
It sounds like harsh, a little bit harsh if you are a Westerner.
But they pleaded not guilty.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
pleaded
That's
not
the-
guilty, and I think the court has a full explanation why he received a harsher sentence than the other guys, because he took the lead. Yeah.
But what is your response to a case like this?
I don't know the background of this boy. He belongs to the parents, I mean the father, mother. But dealing with different kind of kids, especially the teenagers, and dealing with the discipline is very, very critical. If we are very harsh to them, they can destroy their personalities. And they can go directly towards the negative ways. I mean, because maybe one of the example of this kind of thing.
But if you're too tolerant, then that could be another problem.
That's why because I have a personal experiences of teaching different kind of kids at different ages, at mostly the high school level, like the similar kind of age from 14 to 18, and I have some of the experiences like if we are talking about the kids on the different moderate level, if we counseling with them and discuss with them what kind of problem that they are facing, what kind of issues that they need to discuss with them, and give them the room and the space to talk openly and freely, I don't think so the problem would be there.
You know, the thing is, the details of the case aside, and what people were talking about this case, basically was about the parents were to blame, were the ones to blame. And he's
Exactly.
just a child. He's only 16 years old when he committed something like that. And it seems the common reaction from the public would be, it's your fault.
Well, I think the parents are partly to blame. I don't think the parents can take all the responsibilities, even though the kid is still, underage. From all reports, people who know the parents, at least the father is a very nice guy. Not only is he a famous singer, a very accomplished artist. He's a very, very nice guy, and he got the son when he was already like in his 50s or something. So obviously the couple doted on the child. So in this case, it's not that they were too harsh on the kid, but they were too lenient and too indulgent of
He's
the kid.
abused.
Yeah, and of course, I don't know them personally, but from my personal experience, from the people I know around me, there are cases like that, and the parents really, it's not that the parents ignore the kid. The parents really wanted to be good parents, and they tried all the things in the book, and somehow the kid came out rebellious. Of course, all teenagers are supposed to be rebellious, but there is a boundary they are not supposed to cross, right? Once they cross that, what kind of discipline should the parents use? And it's really harsh because we know that the traditional Chinese way is to use discipline, to be severe, especially when they cross the lines. And the Western way is to be more understanding and to talk to them. And those friends of mine, they tried both methods, and they really exerted themselves in trying to apply the best method, but neither worked.
But the thing is, I mean, so much is happening. So much has happened in China, and so much is still happening in China. So the whole society is in transition.
Exactly.
And all these new methods coming in at eating out the territory of the old methods, old family education ways. So for the parents, I mean, basically they don't really have much experience because all these children are the only child in the family. They can't borrow one experience from teaching, educating, the older ones, but they have to work out the way to educate the only child, how to teach them the best lesson, how to, make sure that they would become a better man in the future when they grow up. That's actually, I would say, this is the most complicated
the moral education
project, the most important education they could come across.
I do agree with the professor's point of view. But there is one more thing, that the Chinese family education is a little bit different than the Western education. At home, particularly, we are talking about the family education. Like, as we know that China is a growing economy, and both the father and the mother, they're working. So sometimes the small kids, particularly, they put into the daycare centers, and sometimes they even don't have time to talk to the kids properly.
Too busy.
Even on weekends. Like, I can give you my personal example. A few years ago, I was teaching to high school kids. There was a grade 12 boy. He didn't submit his assignment. I asked him, okay, I need to call your father. I want to see your father. He started smiling. I said, why are you smiling? He said, how can you see my father? I didn't see him from last 2 weeks. So how can you see him? I was shocked, because he said that when he come back back home, I'm sleeping. When I come to the school, he is sleeping.
Yeah.
So I don't have time even to talk to him. How can you talk to him? It's really shocked. But in Western, like in Canada and US, in most of the Western countries, not allowed by the government, by the rules. Either the father or the mother, they must need to stay at home, look after the child until unless it's small. And even it's grown up, the parents, they must give the proper time to the kids. Counseling with them, go out, discussion, lots of topics. And these are the ways that we can discuss with them. Because if the child, they feel like, particularly like in these kind of the age of teenagers, feeling alone, having different kind of bad societies, maybe their friends have a very negative impact on those societies. So I don't think so they learn very positive things. But Chinese, parents, they are very, to some extent, they have a check and balance on the kids. They put the kids with the tutors, okay, just 2 hours, 3 hours, you have to look after them. You have to finish everything with them, okay, fine. But very few time they're giving to their kids, playing with them.
That's the problem. Either they don't really have time, or they would invite their parents from the father's side or mother's side to take care of their kids. But still, that causes new problems. Basically, to establish that bond and connection, there has to be, you have to spend some time with your kids, right? But with your grandparents, that's a different story.
Well, I think there's irony there, because the economic development of China in the past couple of decades has meant that many of these parents who are middle class and quite successful in their careers, they don't have time for the kids, but they have more and more money for the kids. So in trying to make up for the lost time with the kids, they splurge more money than is necessary and than is good onto the kids, so that the kids has got a sense that the parents are really trying to using money in the place of attention, and they from the very beginning, say 13 or 14 years old, they have this wrong notion of money because it's easy money. They don't work for it. And of course, their parents worked hard for it. And once they grow up, they really don't know how to manage personal finance.
But you're talking about the children of these wealthy families.
Middle class.
Middle class or well-off families. Yeah. But something must be wrong in there. In the understanding of what is proper education for your children. It's not that you spend money and then you get the proper education.
I
invite the best teachers. I get you the best gadget.
Exactly. That's one of the things I want to add. No, it's very good for the economy, for the nation to, both the parents, they're working. But on the other side, there is a very negative impact on the child's personality. Fine, both they're working, they have lots of money, they give everything, whatever the child they have, the latest kind of gadgets. But there is no substitute of mother's love. There is no substitute. So the kids, they want their parents, their mother, their father, they want proper time, and they discuss with them, and then they just isolate their own rooms, they have their own chatting. like fine that parents, they are giving them the access to using internet, but by using the internet they are addicted. I mean,
No real communication.
no real communication, just wasting their times. They're playing games, just chatting. The whole night they're chatting. In the morning they're just dozing in the classes. I mean, what is this?
It's complicated. It's always complicated for all these centuries. And we're going to talk about some details of the existing rules, say in the West or in China, see whether that will work in modern China. You're watching Crossover. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Crossover, and today we're talking about family education and how to make sure that your child is going to be a better man when they grow up. Now, talking about rules, when we watch dramas or American dramas, or often they will say, the parents will say, now you are grounded for a week.
Yeah.
So that's like the old children, they will understand this is the moment the parents, they've drawn the line. So they've been,
They cannot
that's
cross the
penalty,
boundaries.
right?
Yeah.
That's the penalty.
We have lots of discussion with other international parents. I mean, the students from in our international school, more than 55 nationalities. And previously where I was teaching there was about more than 60 nationalities there. So I have a very good experience to talking such kind of behavioral issues, discipline issues with the foreign parents. Actually, the problem is like Chinese kids are a little bit shy and they don't want to be, very hard or very difficult to deal with these kind of things as compared to dealing with Western students. The Western students, they are very open-minded and we need to discuss openly everything with them. And we have a counseling with them being as teachers or even the similar kind of concept they have at homes. So, but whenever we are talking about the Chinese kids, we do have Chinese in our international school, but they're foreign Chinese, Canadian Chinese, British Chinese, or such kind of thing. But we can find the difference. Whenever we are talking to them, and even the Koreans, they're almost similar kind of, the region they belongs to, they're very polite when they are talking. But study shows that if we are talking to the teenagers in a very harsh way, their personality is not going to be very positive, and they're supposed to be depressed, and we are getting the behavioral problems.
Many Chinese parents, especially young parents, are jumping really from one extreme, the extreme of their parents, to another extreme, to the other extreme, from being too harsh and too severe with the
they
kids,
grew up in harsh
too much
environment.
discipline, to too little. And they thought the Western way is just to be tolerant and just let the kids free. But actually, that's not true. There's most Western parents use a lot of discipline.
In fact, like in China, for example, the parents, whenever we are staying at home and teaching them some different kind of activities, make sure that the activities that we're giving them, they are constructive and they should be full of knowledge. And whenever we are teaching them, give them the rules and teach them how to follow the rules. And if you don't follow the rules, what would be the consequences? This is something important. We just tell them, okay, this is the rule you need to follow. We don't teach them normally discipline, actually.
Talking about discipline, and in America, they have all these set of rules of here. The first one would be discipline with love. Do you think that will apply in the Chinese environment? Love is love, and discipline with love.
Well, love cannot be forced. It has to be natural. I think it's the expression, the room for expression for the kid in the family environment.
That's listen and communicate. That could be a problem with Chinese parents.
Yes. I think Chinese parents should really be patient with the kids and let the kids speak their mind.
But the thing is,
be good listeners.
In the mind of Chinese parents, in most cases it would be, hey, you're just a child. We are parents. We've been through so many years and all these experiences, and we have enough to teach you, to tell you what's right or what's not right. It's not about one party talking and communicating with the other.
I can add something. I saw some Chinese parents. I really appreciate that kind of thing. They almost, more or less, it's very close to the Western style they're using.
So it's changing.
Like they're changing because when they face certain problems, the behavioral problems, the discipline problems among their kids, they always take them out. Okay, let's have a dinner. Let's go to the park. And they're just talking and counseling with them. And of course, love is the biggest power, in fact. If we talk to them in a polite way, not too hard to them, because the teenagers, like in this kind of case, I don't think so. Like if we discuss with politeness, like, for example, I give you my personal example. In my classes, we are a little bit strict. We have to be a little bit strict with the kids, with the students, I mean. But if we are playing outside the activities, I mean, out of the classes, we are very good friends. So the students, they know it's a very, I mean, the latest methodology of discussing something. The students know the teachers, they are very good, and we can discuss anything, even they cannot discuss with the parents. They can discuss with the teachers.
Are you going to tell the parents what they told you?
Yeah, sometimes, really. We do have parent-teacher interviews, we do have parent-teacher meetings, and sometimes I discuss that your child discussed this kind of thing with me. I need to discuss more in detail with you. What's background, I don't know, because the child spend a very few time here in these classes, in the school, but most of the time is spent at home.
So that context is in international school, and also we have to bear in mind that we're talking about this new generation. So they are more likely to accept and take in these new concepts, and that's, I mean, it's good and sometimes it's bad. I mean, it really depends on how you're going to balance the old and new.
Oh, you know, it's easier to say how to balance it. But in reality, you know, I'm a parent, and I know it is really hard.
Are you a modern one, or are you a traditional
I'm
one?
trying to be a modern one, and then I found out it doesn't really work that well. Say, I try to be a good listener for my daughters, but they sometimes they keep nagging. They will keep telling you the same thing for hours until you get impatient.
Now, let me just ask you this, because we have two sets of disciplines or rules, Western and Chinese, and just tell me which one you would like to follow, and just say yes or no, huh? Focus on the behavior, not the child. Yes?
Wrong.
No?
No.
No. Respond immediately when something happens.
Yes.
Remain calm when something happens.
True.
Be fair.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's in principle.
Yeah.
Right?
That's true.
Not
That's
really
true.
reality, right?
It's very
Do
hard,
not harm or injure, that's no problem. Set boundaries.
Yeah,
some
it's
extent.
easy to set
To some
boundaries,
extent.
but very difficult to carry through.
Okay, be consistent. You sometimes forgot maybe what
it's
you
very
said.
hard.
What you
Very
said.
hard.
Very difficult.
Be creative.
True. That's right.
Develop rules and expectations in advance.
Yeah, I tried that, but often it didn't work.
Use timeouts.
True.
It didn't work.
Not in all
I
cases.
tried it.
Sometimes,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
we did.
Reward or praise desirable behaviors.
Yeah.
True. Yep, that's right.
Model desired behavior. So this is the Western disciplines, the rules. We'll take a break and we'll come back. We talk about some Chinese rules. You're watching Crossover. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Crossover, and today we're trying to be experts in family education. You know, how to make sure the education is the proper one to avoid that tragedy we just talked about in the very beginning of our program. Now, the Chinese rules, actually, remember there is a talk that in the family, you know, in front of children, parents, father and mother, they'll have to take different roles.
Definitely.
And there has to be a more tolerant one, there has to be a strict one.
Exactly, that's true.
You believe in that?
I do agree with this, yeah. If I'm hard to my kids, suppose, my wife is not supposed to. If she's hard, I just calm down and just listen.
That's your personal belief, or
Yeah.
that's actually very much a universal?
Generally, I mean, it's common, but that depends on, environment, situation to situation, that depends. But one thing that I must say that if we are good enough to talk with the kids, giving them a good time, and with talking to them and discussing their problems, if they face any kind of difficulties, listen to them, give them the space of thinking. Like I give you the example, in our international school, we offer certain courses. That's purely the American course. Like one of them is TOK, Theory of Knowledge. We give them the time to the students, just think positively and develop their thinking skills. So they can apply the theory of knowledge in different subjects, in different areas. We show them different objects, and different students in the classes, they think differently because everyone's perspective is different. But the similar kind of thing we can apply at home even then, being as parents. Similarly, like we offer CAS, Creative Action Services, and like lots of concept of edutainment, like providing education through entertainment, for example. There are a lot of stuff available for parents and on internet for learning, for developing the kids' behavior.
Well, the same practice could be different logics behind it. And are you also believe in that rule?
Yes, but I tried it in my family. I think it's the reverse of what most Chinese families do.
You are the tolerant one. And
yeah, I'm the
loving
tolerant one, and my wife plays the bad guy, quote unquote.
Yeah.
But still, the kids.
Bad cop, good cop.
Yeah, the still.
Mostly the mothers, they have a soft corner.
Exactly.
They're still, they.
Did you have a talk before you played that roles, or basically
No,
it just came out
naturally. And as a result, I kind of have already lost the stern father figure authority.
Okay, but why both your wife and yourself agreed to do that? I mean, can you just both be the tolerant parents?
Well, sometimes someone has to be really harsh and set the limit,
the boundaries.
And my wife tends to do that, and because I love daughters, so I'm naturally just play the soft guy, and kids are very observant. They can get subtle signals, and they know who has the power, the ultimate power in the family.
And you're not the one.
And I'm not the one, and they are more influenced by the other kids they play with. So in that family, the power structure in that family has a lot to do with how my daughter behaves.
And they ask strange questions you can't answer.
Yes, and actually, in my case, there's one family who is our neighbor, who used to be our neighbor. The father gets to be abused by the daughter.
Really?
Yeah, really.
One more thing I would like to add, like
Yes.
it's pretty much the hell of difference between dealing with the discipline of a boy and a girl. The girls are quite different than the boys. I mean, discipline, because mostly they spend the time at home with mother and helping in the kitchen or whatever the ways are. The boys, they have a different sort of liberties. Go outside and talking with different friends, and a little bit open-minded, because as not in China, even the Western people. So once we are dealing with the girls and the boys, we have to deal very systematically. We have to deal with very tactfully, that the age of the kids are very important. If they're small, we can snub them to some extent, not very hard to them, of course.
What about this one? This could be very controversial, because the traditional belief in family education would be no hitting, no beating.
No punishment.
No punishment, but in the physical way, and no way of achieving anything when they grow up.
I used to firmly believe in that until I had my own kids. And I think, generally speaking, yes. But there are some really, very special cases when they step way out of line. That parent, that's the famous singer, if he had got traces of his son developing that development,
stopped it?
I think,
wouldn't be a big problem.
Because if you use spanking frequently, it will lose its effect, right? But if you want to, once in a long while, you use that to really make a point. I think, really depending on your kid and the behavior.
But you still,
I think it's necessary. It's like, in very special cases, it's necessary. But it should never be applied haphazardly.
But it will be your wife who is doing that.
Yeah, in my case, it's my if I do that,
you're the good guy.
You just look at it. Okay, what's going on?
Right? I think you do that, try to achieve some kind of effect.
Yes. Do you believe in that?
To send a signal that this is absolutely taboo.
Not allowed. Yeah. Okay.
In fact, like me and my wife, we often discuss with the behavior of our own kids. Sometimes what we need to do and how we need to tackle. Like I have boys, and.
So you're the bad guy, bad cop.
So in fact, sometimes I'll be a little bit hard sometimes if they're not listening, if they're crossing the boundaries there. But most of the time, I have personally observed that whenever I deal with them with politeness and with very soft speaking, talking to them, they listen always, and they do agree what I want from them. But if sometimes a little bit hard to them. So they said, okay, let's see. So what happens? I mean, these
It
are the
depends on
ways that
when,
depends
the situation,
in
how
fact.
old they are, the age, right?
One is in age of 14,
Yeah.
one is in age of
Yeah.
11. So I mean, it's a
critical
very
age,
critical
yeah?
age, you know.
Rebellious.
So we have to be very tactful when we are talking to them and discussing something, and dealing the discipline with them, of course.
You know, but when we talk about education, and there is also one area we need to make sure that we see the differences, because education is not just about study.
Yep.
It's not just about schools. But the thing is, that there is actually that misunderstanding. People may not realize it, but it's there. It seems so many families, the parents, grandparents, they focus so much on how much you score in exams.
Exactly.
When that is good, then it seems that covers everything. I mean, all these shortcomings, all these wrong behaviors, wrongdoings, it seems parents would get more tolerant so long as you score well in the exams. Do you see that?
Yeah, I saw that around me, but my family doesn't use that method. We always try to find out why they didn't score as high as they're supposed to be. And if there's a legitimate reason, we'll use more encouraging words.
Definitely, it's not right to mix the two.
Well, we see the score as one of many, signs for the results. It's not the only one.
In my personal opinion, the education is one part of learning, of course. The student, they must need to pay attention towards the academics. But other than that, the most important is the moral education, the good discipline, good behavior. I always taught my kids, my own kids, and my students, education is one thing, but you have to respect the others. Once we are, with my students, we are playing together, we are like friends. But still, my student knows that there is a decorum between the student and the teacher. They know how to respect. And the same thing I want to follow my kids, my own kids, even then. So this is something important, not only the academics, the discipline, the behavioral issues, and like our previous generations, they also want this. Look, your son is not, obedient in front of us. If we are talking, he's talking to you. So we need to teach them this is not the right way. So how to behave, how to talk in front of your elders.